Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin Robbie Billups. This is the weekly Pop Culture Wrap-Up. It's the show where I go over the week's pop culture news, mostly comic books and movies. In fact, this week, pretty much just comic books, but let's get right into it. Timeless is going to be a one-shot comic book from Marvel in December. It's going to be written by Jed MacKay with artwork by Kev Walker, Mark Bagley, and possibly Joe Bennett. This is going to be a Kang-centric one-shot, kind of in the line of something like Marvel Legacy or Marvel Comics 1000. It's going to be oversized. It's going to be spotlighting developing stories that are going to kind of erupt, I guess, in 2022 from Marvel. And of course, with Kang being the centric focus of the MCU, possibly it seems right now, Marvel's going to follow suit, and this is going to be setting all of that up. Now, it is also written by Jed MacKay. We've been talking about him being a very consistent, solid writer at Marvel right now, and possibly at some point being handed the reins to the direction into the next event, and it seems like that's what's happening here. So there you go. Then we have Devil's Reign also launching in December. This is an event. This is a Daredevil Kingpin-centric event. It's written by Chip Zdarsky, Marco Cicchetto. We recently heard that their Daredevil run was coming to an end. Then we found out a little bit more that it was actually just going on hold so that they could do this event and then bring Daredevil back. And that's what this basically is. It's Kingpin, Wilson Fisk. He is mayor of New York. Everything's come to aligned to this point, and now it's going to erupt. And of course, it can't just be a really great Daredevil story. It has to be an event. So Devil's Reign coming in December. Then we have the 10 Lives of Wolverine, as well as the 10 Deaths of Wolverine. This starts in January. It's going to be 2 series working together. It's going to be starting off the next Hickman-less wave of XMen books or whatever, but it's Benjamin Percy, Joshua Cassara, Federico Vicentini. It seems like a pretty solid team. I honestly think Percy has been doing some solid work at XMen, but I'm just kind of getting over the whole line, so maybe a refocus. We'll see what happens, but yeah, the whole 10 lives, 10 deaths, and it's going to be, who knows what it's going to be. We'll see. I think the solicitation said something about him, like, training people. I don't know. We're just going to have to see, right? Avengers Forever in December. This is from Jason Aaron and Aaron Cooter. This is an ongoing series of the Avengers of the Multiverse, basically. So in Jason Aaron's run on Avengers, he's been building up the idea of Mephisto being behind everything. He built up the idea of the Avengers from 1 billion BC, and now he's building up the idea of the multiversal Avengers, kind of like the Justice League incarnate right now over at DC, but that's what this one is. Like, in the solicits, they kind of mention that, like, one of the versions of Iron Man is, like, he's also Ant-Man or something, so I don't know. We'll see. Avengers Forever, the original book by Carlos Pacheco and Kurt Busiek, was absolutely fantastic. This one, though, we shall see. I think Jason Aaron's Avengers run's been just okay at best, so I'm not really super pumped for that. Fantastic Four, The Reckoning War launches in January from Dan Slott and Carlos Pacheco. Big fan of Pacheco's work, so I'm excited to see what happens there. The Reckoning War is something that Dan Slott has been teasing in many of his books over like the last almost 20 years, all right? So it's supposed to be this big cosmic thing involving the Watcher or whatever. A few more hints were dropped several issues ago in Fantastic Four, so it makes sense that now it's finally erupting, and sure, we'll see. I mean, I think Dan Slott's been doing a really good job on Fantastic Four over the last year. Just let him continue to do a job on Fantastic Four and do a good one. Why does this have to be an event? But, I don't know, I'll probably like it, all right? It's Fantastic Four. SheHulk gets a new comic book in January from Rainbow Roll and Roger Antonio. Not super familiar with that creative team. I know that Rainbow was the writer on the most recent Runaways book, but I only read, like, the first issue or something of that, so not very familiar with the work of the creative team, but a new She-Hulk show is coming out, and so, of course, we get a new She-Hulk book. She's returning to being a lawyer again. I think that's That's cool because that's always worked in her book. So there you go. Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur are getting their own series coming out in February of 2022. The creative team is unknown. Marvel's intentionally leaving it blank, but you can see an L, you can see an E, you can see the spacing, and if you put it together, there's a Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur animated series coming out soon that's executive produced by Lawrence Fishburne. I bet it's Lawrence Fishburne. So there you go. He's not going to be in The Matrix Resurrection, but maybe he's writing a Moon Girl comic book. Anyway, but of course, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur returning to comic books. Jeff Lemire has announced he is moving over to Substack. He's doing a comic book on Substack called Fish Flies. This one is completely illustrated and written by Jeff Lemire. If you're a fan of his work, you probably will want to check that one out. He also announced he's going to be doing some short stories and one long-form Black Hammer story that's going to be exclusive to the Substack. Now, do expect this stuff to get released in print at some point, but that may be in the somewhat distant future. But Jeff Lemire is another one hopped on over to Substack. Junkyard Joe is a book coming out in 2022 that was just announced in the last issue of Geiger. It will be in the world of Geiger. The character was introduced in the latest issue of Geiger, and it will be done by the exact same creative team, Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. I loved Geiger. I thought this Junkyard Joe character was very interesting, and I love the expansion of this world, and I love the commitment from Frank and from Johns of wanting to do this themselves and also expand out the world. I think that's super cool. King of Spies has a release date now. That's in December. It's a 4-issue mini-series. We now have the artist attached to it. It's Mark Millar and Matteo Scalera. This is the story of what if, like, James Bond found out he had 6 months left to live, and he wanted to try to really save the world. That's kind of what the story is. This is obviously in conjunction with Netflix. So Mark Millar and Netflix, and they're going to be working on it, and there you go. I think it's cool. Scalera is a really cool artist, and I think that they will work very well together again. Cowboy Bebop is coming to comic books, an adaptation of the upcoming live-action show from Titan in December. But why I really want to spotlight this is not just because Cowboy Bebop's really cool. The original anime is awesome. I'm a fan of it, and we've been revisiting it lately in its soundtrack, and I'm kind of excited for this live-action show. But this miniseries comic book is written by Dan Waters, friend of the show, but Dan Waters, part of the White Noise crew, huge fan of his work, so very excited to check this out. He is joined by Lemire Mathurin on the art there, and then Nocterra, the Tony Daniel Scott Snyder book. They have worked out and finalized a television deal, so Nocterra is going to become a television series, or at least it's going to go into development as a television series. We shall see how that progresses and what actually happens. But if you were wondering why you were selling out of Nocterra or it was becoming more difficult to find, that's probably why. Nocterra is a pretty decent comic book. It'd be interesting to see what they can do with it as a television property. So that's what we got for you this week. What's coming up here at PCP? Well, we just kicked off Horror Fest, so you got to check out the latest upcoming episode of Horror Fest, which is going to be tonight on Dylan's Horror Show, where we dive into The Burbs, the Joe Dante, Tom Hanks classic. Very excited for that. Rockin Robbie live tomorrow night, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central Time, here on the channel. Join us. We're going to have a lot of fun talking about the newest episodes of What If, talking about all the comic book news and what comic books are coming out, what we're reading, what we're digging, and we're also going to be announcing the winner of the Red Sonja Jay Lee limited edition variant from Dynamite Entertainment. We'll be announcing the winner on that one, and if you want to join up into that contest, all you got to do is find the latest weekly comic book review and comment, like, and subscribe. That's really all you got to do. We're going to announce the winner Sunday night. So, lots of fun stuff. We also got Gavin Smith, comic book artist, on this channel Monday night, so be on the lookout for that. Lots of fun here at Pop Culture Philosophers, so thank you so much for checking out the video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and join us over at popculturephilosophers.com for podcast blogs and a whole lot more. I've been Rockin Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Station. Keep on living.